what. So it's about a third. 22%. Did you see? So if I didn't piece them all together. I kind of interrupted.
Oh, okay.
Let's say this is their
Oh, okay.
Like even I have some questions
right. They
written
bought
down.
looks something like that.
I just do it all the time.
And so, you with me? How far did they get down? And then Megason comes through like this.
Hey, sir.
But they got maybe like in here.
I think they're about a third.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Hey man, how you doing, man?
Jay, if he's not here by 5:30, he said he's probably not coming.
This time next year.
They're ramping up. I mean, they've been ramping up, and then they're ramping up even more. That January, we got a notice for like their next start to January.
Yes.
Notice like this month, like hey, come January instead of
Yeah, you know.
Oh, for
January, but they're giving out let's notice out, just trying to get.
Yes, sir.
You probably aware of how they build their houses with a crane in the street. In some of the
Oh,
areas.
you talking about on the?
I'm not. What do they? Is that what they keep the crane in one spot?
Dropping things on 4 lots and they move the crane down the street. This, I haven't seen
I don't know. I guess he can't talk to him.
Are they building much more concrete walls?
They are sections. I did a tour of their plant. It's impressive. It's like it's my daughter. Yeah. The whole thing. Yeah, plants.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, sir.
And they did it like it doesn't make any sense today, but they just I think worry about the labor shortage or it's a way to at least take some of that.
Yeah, yeah. How'd the whole thing? Oh, she's turns out. She's fine.
So I don't even need to open that address with 9th Street. It's your district. I just forward it to you.
Were you
I
at large?
haven't even
Were
opened
you
the lottery
at
yet.
large?
So.
Were you at large before like me?
Yeah.
Yeah, trust me.
I don't even know what's in it.
Trust me. Elmore Park. I got called.
I'm just gonna forward it to you.
I got called into a flood.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, man?
Yeah, they figured out who I am in the neighborhood.
Survived my kid's birthday party over the weekend.
Oh yeah.
Okay. They're turning actually.
Call the meeting to order. Leesburg City Commission meeting. Today's date is Monday, May 23rd, 2022. The invocation and pledge be led by Commissioner Christian.
Can we all stand, please, and bow our heads? Heavenly Father, we thank you for today to live in such a great city of Leesburg, Florida. We just show gratitude and thanksgiving. Thank you for our city manager, our city mayor, his commissioners, all the staff that make the city of Leesburg run so efficiently and effectively. Thank you for our residents, our business owners. We pray for, God, a great year of prosperity. God, in each business, we pray for safety. Even in an inflationary time of our country, we pray that you will provide the resources necessary to continue to keep our businesses and our city running. We ask you, God, to bless, God, those troops around the world. We pray for the people of Ukraine. We pray for peace throughout our world, our nation. We pray, God, even as diseases, God, run rampant through our country. We pray for healing and safety and health for all of us. In your Son, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Christian.
Thank you.
So, proclamations, we have none. Presentations, we have none. So I'll move on to public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future city commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Any comments tonight? If none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commission staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. Pull the items from the consent agenda, vote on remaining items with one roll call, and discuss each pulled item and vote by roll call. So any items commission wishes to pull?
Yeah, let's see, it's 5C18.
Any other items?
I move for approval of remaining items, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Second.
Second, okay. No other, any comments from the public? If no comments, roll call.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Bury,
Yes.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes. Someone please introduce 5C18.
I'll introduce to be read by title only, please.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, establishing the Public Art Advisory Committee, appointing initial members, specifying the procedures, duties, responsibilities, and authority of the committee, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Comments from the commission?
Yeah, I pulled it. I'm not opposed to having a committee like this. It was just in reading through the packet how we were going to set up the committee itself. I kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit. I think personally, how we have our Parks and Recreation and our Airport Board, where each commissioner kind of appoints somebody that's their point man, and possibly having somebody from Center of the Arts as the overseer, because we don't really have a Department of Arts, might be a good idea to do for this.
Okay.
You know.
I mean, that was my question. I don't want to sit up here and the five of us debate it. I'd rather us all appoint one.
Yeah, and the way it was set up, we were going to elect them to 3-year terms, and it was, a lot more involved.
Yeah, I think that works better, and it kind of ensures that as the commission changes, the boards change
Right.
out, and you don't end up with people serving on a board for, unless they do a good job, for 20 years, just because nobody does anything. Yeah.
Any other comments?
Sounds good.
Can you make those
So-
on the fly?
Absolutely.
And it's just so it'd be 1-year terms, appointed, and it'd be a 6-member commission or
6.
advisory. Then I know
Okay,
that's
right.
odd, and I know that's an odd number. I
Well-
know I don't. I'm not. That
It
doesn't
should
wig
be
me out.
maybe just like, it would be a 5-person with the leader being someone from the Center of the Arts, just like you have Travis as a leader. He's not a voting member when they vote on your Parks and Recreation, or,
The difference probably
just
is-
kind of the liaison that,
You got issue with that? So then, okay, so in your write up, just for that, so you'll have a 5-member commission.
Okay.
Called the chairperson of the committee is the general manager of the director of the arts, non-voting, so it would be a non-voting member, but the purpose is to lead the committee.
right.
And then the 5 voters would be the 1-year appointees of the commission.
Okay.
And so pending approval, you guys come back at the next meeting with the person you would like. We'll get those to the current director, which would be Maria, and then they're off and running.
I think my only
And then-
concern would be is we still don't have a city representative, someone that the city manager could say as a Travis or a Tracy, that point person that works for the city of Leesburg, that Al not directs, because although we love Maria, that position may change to be somebody else. Then basically we have volunteers that we've appointed, and Al really can't yell and say, hey, maybe that falls under Travis' purview or the recreation director purview, because it still kind of is recreation. Even though Maria's the Center for Arts executive directs a point person, I still think should be some type of city oversight on that committee.
Yeah, but the oversight's gonna be us, because they're not gonna have the power to spend anything, to do anything, it's gonna come to us.
I'm thinking about that committee meeting, that no one from the city would like to be there to help guide that process of what the city will or will not do, or kind of the recommendations. I mean, I think you got another committee.
Well,
committee group.
the easy answer is when you appoint somebody, Why don't you pick the city manager and do that on a perpetual basis?
I didn't
Yeah,
know-
and
I
so-
didn't know if you wanted to
Then you
delegate.
got more work to do.
You know, then you address, and if you want to go as far to say in the setup of that is that the mayor automatically appoints the city manager, then that, instead of 5 commissioners, 5 people, that would be 4 people and the city manager all the time. If the mayor doesn't care,
Well, I don't want
I don't
to,
think
I want you
No,
to
I
have
don't
far.
think-
I would say that, given how much money we give the Center for the Arts, like,
Right.
if Al talks to Maria, like, I'm sure she's gonna make sure whatever he thinks, because she knows at the end of the day,
Right.
if she brings something here that Al's like, no, absolutely, you guys should not do this,
Right.
it's kind of a non-starter anyways, so.
Yeah.
I think you do have enough checks and balances in that check.
Okay.
Al can attend as needed.
Yeah, and as they noted, you know, the way it's structured, at least before us tonight, is it is a recommending body, right? So it ultimately, whatever their recommendations are, come before everyone here for you guys to make an ultimate call on whatever those recommendations are. They just, I think, you know, help sort through everything out there, condense it, sort of bring recommendations in a more narrow scope for the commission here, I think is the idea. But, you know, certainly I'm happy to draft it and set it up however everybody wants.
Are you
Sounds
good?
like the amendment,
It's
you want
a-
to put a formal
So do we
amendment
need a motion
Yes, sir.
to?
to
Okay.
amend?
So I'd like to amend, let's see, it would be 5C18 to read that we will have a 5-person nominated committee by each commissioner that will be chaired by a representative from the Center of the Arts in a non-voting capacity.
And I would specify that, what's your title, Maria? Is it executive director? You want it to
Yeah.
be the executive?
Sure, yeah, I
The
mean-
chair of the committee would be the executive director of the Center of the Arts in a non-voting capacity.
And you can add that to it.
Those are the two, so one year appointments
Right.
by the commission.
That would function as an
Executive
advisory
director
board.
is the chair, non-voting member. Those would be the modifications for Grant.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay, so we have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Second. Comments from the commission? Comments from the public? Roll call.
Commissioner Bree,
Yes.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes. So now we need to vote on the original amendment. Comments from the public on the original amendment? Maria, anything at all? No, thank you. Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Bree,
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes. Moving on to public hearings and non-routine items. We have second reading of ordinances. Would someone please introduce 6A1?
I'll introduce to be read by title only, please.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 0.59 acres, being generally located on the west side of County Road 468 and north of School View Street, lying in Section 21, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, providing that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, provided that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 2, and providing an effective date.
Motion for approval?
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
The quasi-judicial just applies number 3, right?
Number 2 and number 3, Mr.
2 and
Mayor.
number 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So any comments from the commission on this one?
Well, I voiced my concern about this project last meeting, and I think I've gotten even more opposition myself to this. I called Al because a few years ago, we personally worked within the Carbon Heights Redevelopment Agency to make sure that homes built in Leesburg had garages. We had a lot of pushback from Habitat. They said they couldn't do it at that price point. Went to uses, they were building the same house in uses. Habitat conformed, said, yeah, you know, we can't put garages on houses because what happens in homes of this stature, low-income neighborhoods, multiple people in the houses, what's going in the garage goes on the outside of the house. You go through Harlem Street, you go through any neighborhood in Leesburg where you have multiple people in the house, 3 bedrooms, you got stuff outside. If you got a garage like myself, my stuff is in my garage. My car outside, my stuff is in my junk's in my garage. So I think the PUD circumvents the whole process of having a garage, and I'm now even more convinced with Jimmy Burry that we need to look at our comprehensive plan. I don't think PUD should be utilized to circumvent the laws of the city that are here to protect our neighborhoods. And a half-acre land with 6 houses, I think we wouldn't put that in any other neighborhood. We get sued because we put 100 acres of land with 100 houses. We get sued because we didn't want to do it. Now we're going to vote to cram 6 houses on a half-acre land. I think that's just irresponsible, and I think we shouldn't even be looking at this. And I don't think staff should recommend anything back to us on a PUD on a half-acre land with 6 houses, no garages, and cars and junk is going to be everywhere, and it's going to make the neighborhood not look better but look worse. And to even say because it's a bus line close by is a reason they are allowing this to happen, I think is just preposterous, and I don't think we should even consider that. And I'm strongly opposed to this project.
Any other comments from the commission?
So this is on the annexing.
This is on the annex. I mean,
I would say on the annexation issue, I don't have any strong positive feelings or negative feelings. You know, and then we can talk about the rest later.
Okay, I mean, we can talk about it later. I mean, I guess it's kind of interesting we annex it, and then
Which
It all gets screwed up.
because of the Sunnyside thing, we're getting sued because we talked about. But how do so maybe Grant could give us like how do we
Yeah,
talk about
the
this?
standards are different in terms of how you make your decision. The decision to annex property or not really is a legislative decision. Does it make sense? Is there any kind of rational basis to support whatever decision you make, whether that's in favor or against annexation? When you're looking at quasi-judicial matters like rezonings or site plans or special exceptions and things of that nature, conditional uses, all of those kinds of things, then your decision needs to be based on competent substantial evidence. So that would be some evidence that a rational trier of fact could find to support the decision that was made. So the standard is a little bit stronger in terms of what your decision needs to be based on. But if you base your decision on competent substantial evidence, again, evidence that a rational person could find in support of the decision that was made, then that decision generally would be upheld. And so, again, when you're looking at the issue of annexation, it's a lot looser. It's more of a legislative determination as to whether or not the city wants to bring that property in. Does it make sense in the context of the overall development of the city? Again, that gives you a little bit more leeway in terms of making the decision. Once it's brought in and you're looking at zoning classifications and things like that, there needs to be some competent substantial evidence on which to base the decision to place a specific zoning classification on the property.
so if it was annexed and was not approved in numbers 2 and 3, the applicant could withdraw the annexation. Is that correct? I think
If
what
it's
happened in
been
Sunnyside.
annexed, then it's been annexed, then the,
See,
go
but
ahead.
that's,
Yeah, let me ask, just let me, I want a Grant question, but then answer your
happened in
question.
Sunnyside, right?
No. What happened in Sunnyside was the commission annexed and voted in favor of annexation. And then when it appeared that the rezoning and the PUD was going to fail, the petitioner kind of asked the commission if you would unannex them.
De-annex. whatever the term was.
De-annex.
Okay.
Fred, former city attorney at the time, said because it was that night, that time, he thought that a motion to undo your annexation would be appropriate at that time. So that's question number one. So that answers your question. But brings this procedural issue of annexation and this kind of stuff. So Grant, would you agree with the Fred thing? So and I think in English what Grant said was there's two different standards here of annexation and then land use in it. So you may want this in the city.
Right.
So if you want that little .67 acres in, you should bring it in and vote yes. Procedurally, then Grant's gonna say, yeah, if the land use thing, after weighing the preponderance of the evidence and ruling on merits, and which Commissioner Christian brought up, significant good merits, which I'm sure he's gonna be open-minded to in the quasi-judicial hearing, you know, then we'll go that route, and then if by chance that you say no, then you may wanna look at the petitioner. My question would be though, too, there's also law, and that's the next part of your question, is if they bring it in, then they don't approve the PUD, we have X number of days, don't we? We have to land use it in 6 months or something?
180 days.
So we have 180 days to land use it. The question is, if we don't land use it in 180 days, does it automatically get kicked out?
I don't think that it automatically, and I'll say I'm not too familiar with the code on annexation and how the mechanics of this would work, you know, just not having too much background with the city on it. But I don't think that, I don't know. I mean, I'd be curious to look at the annexation, the language of the annexation ordinance to see if that helps at all, or if there's any agreement that goes along with it that might help answer that question. But if the code has some trigger of if you don't do it in 180 days, then previous action was void to annex it in, then, you know, the code would, do you guys know offhand what the code
The
says? about-
180 days is for the statute,
Okay.
and during that 180 days, whatever land use Lake County applied operates
Is-
upon the land,
Okay, okay,
from what I understand.
okay, okay.
So then, so then there is that question, if you don't do anything in 180 days. I would
Yeah.
suggest at this stage, you got your first answer by Grant, the second one is I don't know.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've got the two other items, and let's see where those go before we need to go back and revisit your annexation. So just the
But-
commission,
And to just add on that a little bit, again, when you're looking at the issue of zoning, right, you're making decisions on what zoning is appropriate. It's almost sort of a hybrid between the legislative and quasi-judicial in a sense. You know, the applicant, of course, has their idea of what zoning would be appropriate for the property, but the commission also has the legislative prowess to decide what they believe is appropriate. And so that's where that competent substantial evidence standard comes in. If you were to say, we think that this is appropriate, then if there's competent substantial evidence to support the zoning classification that the commission believes is appropriate, then there's competent substantial evidence to support that decision. So again, what the applicant says is worthwhile and worth considering. That's what they want to do with their property. But if there's evidence to suggest that that's not an appropriate classification for the property and that a different classification would be more appropriate, with you having to assign some kind of zoning classification by a date certain, then, you know, again, you have some leeway there to make the decision that makes sense, provided there's some factual basis to support the decision you're making.
I wish we could vote on all three at the end. It doesn't work like that, does it?
So, we said something about 180 days, it would revert back to whatever the county had, which according to this is Lake County urban medium density.
Currently, that's what's assigned to it, because it has the Lake County zoning classification. If it comes into the city, then it needs to be assigned the city zoning classification.
Right, so right now it says it's from Lake County urban medium density to City of Leesburg medium density. So 6 units on half an acre is considered medium density.
what's
Is
Lake,
that,
Yeah.
6 units an acre in Lake County land is what?
They're the same. The city is requesting to go to medium density, and Lake County has medium density. And I forget if theirs is 10 or 12, but they're right about the same density level.
units on a half an acre is medium density?
But that's what you do in the PUD without having, the lot size is pretty much allowing the applicant to put the houses on a half acre land without going by the standard city, minimal lot sizes. Is that why you're going through the PUD? Because it doesn't address the garages, It doesn't address adequate parking. So with the PUD, we're actually allowing them to skirt around the normal rules that we do
That-
on a regular.
I appreciate your comments, Commissioner Christian. That was not the intent of the PUD. Usually the PUD has to do more with buffers and overall design. They could get close to 6 units in there if it were given I believe it would be an R2 or R3 zoning category. But the PUD was not with the intent of skirting a garage or anything like that. The actual wording in the PUD says a carport / garage, which is in
Cover.
addition to each space by the
Garage
house.
covering, not a garage covering.
I believe it was actually
The very
left it
thing we
open
argued.
for one large carport or garage that was covered. What, if the commission wanted that to be a garage, a separate garage with the 6
I mean,
units.
we talked about, discussed
Several years
about
ago.
getting rid of those carports over people's houses because they were ugly, and we actually were sending code enforcement out there to tell people. So
Right.
we're gonna say now, doing all that work, now we're gonna let somebody build a brand new house and put a carport in front of the house. I don't even think that should have been even an option. You get a garage, if you can't fit on your property, you can't put 6 houses.
It won't be in the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, seriously,
But-
I'm thinking because that's what the problem. You go on Harlem Street, you look at
Yes, sir.
houses with garages, without garages. So you tell a community, work 10, 15 years to clean up your neighborhood, and that was one of the biggest issues is trash, bicycles, stuff in your yard makes it a bad eyesore. So we go through the whole process of adding garages to houses. If you're gonna have a bicycle and you want to put it in your garage so everybody in the neighborhood can't see it. So now we turn and say, not even on a lot, but we're gonna put you on a half an acre and put 6 houses there and no garage, and we're gonna assume that you're gonna have a homeowner association with 6 houses. I mean, really, who's gonna manage an HOA with 6 houses? Who's gonna go and knock on the neighbor door and say, hey, you know, it's 6 of us? I mean that's just really unrealistic. I mean, put it in the PUD to make it feel good, but the reality of it is HOAs are difficult to manage, even with large developments. So we're gonna say 6 houses gonna be their own HOA. You know, it just, to me, it just like, I know the intent, but I don't think the reality of this is gonna make much sense.
Okay.
On a 3-bedroom house, if you put 2 kids in each room or 1 kid in a room, they get 16, everybody got a car. So now you got 4 cars per house, so you got 24 cars on a half-acre land. And we said we're gonna park one car, and you can park down the road. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, understood. And I appreciate those comments.
Just say, on the annexation specifically, I think given the money that we're putting in and revitalizing that area and trying to make it nice, that I do think it's important that it would make sense for this parcel to be in a city, so we have control of the development on that parcel from the annexation standpoint.
Okay, I follow you.
And I would agree with that.
Okay.
On the
Thank you.
annexation portion.
Hopefully they'll go cut it when
It's-
they get annexed.
By our resource center,
Yeah, well, we're spending a lot of
Yeah,
money there. We want to
correct.
control that. I mean,
Correct.
make sure it's whatever's built there, it's up to our standards.
Any other comments, commissioners? Good, yeah. If none, public comments? Okay, roll call.
Hang on for,
Please come forward.
thank you.
My name's Tim Burns. I'm part of the applicant team. We've been working on this for about 3 years with Dan and Candy. We met with Commissioner Christian over at Ken Thomas's office probably 2 years ago. We met with your city manager, Mr. Minner. We've gone through and worked with your staff considerably over this time. And the question was, from our vantage point, do we stay in the county or do we go into the city? And so that's been something that, if we wanted to stay in the county, we could build this product right now. The big issue that, according to their zoning, we've already gone in and seen them, and they would be responsive to that. We had a bigger vision and wanted to deal with the city of Leesburg. that was one of the things that when the piece of property came our way, we went to Ken Thomas and we said, Ken, we want to be in Leesburg. You're facing some issues. And Ken said, yes, I've got what he called a missing middle, which is a part of the market that makes too much for any kind of subsidization, but on the other hand, can't afford $300,000 housing. So we went through his list. He's probably, I know he's no longer with you, but he had a list of probably 20 people that were pre-qualified, that they had gone through all of the work to get them to where they were qualified. They couldn't find any housing. That was the problem. And so we worked with Ken and saying, what if we design a product, because we do have a land trust. This is this has been in the family for the last 50 or 60 years, the land trust, and it's set up to do things just like this. What we were looking for is to help meet that part of the market that's frankly not being addressed in the city of Leesburg. There are a considerable number of families that can't find housing because they can't, they make too much money to get subsidized. They don't make enough money to get a nice home. We designed this with 6 carports that are covered. That was in keeping with the price point that Ken had established for us. Okay, if you've got people that are qualified up to X amount of dollars, how do we design something and build it in spite of all of the labor and material increases that we've had in the last 2 years? How do we do that and bring it in at a number that these people can qualify for? So we didn't look at it from the vantage point of somebody's bicycle being outside. In fact, one of the things that Dan encouraged us to do is to put a covering outside the front door so that it would encourage community involvement. Yeah, it's only 6 houses. We understand it. It's a small project, but it's a worthwhile project. And it's something that we feel would be very complimentary in the city of Leesburg. It's something that I think that would be good for you guys. It's in an area right across from the Resource Center, which, Grant, you were the attorney back 10 years ago, weren't you?
I was not, no.
You weren't? Well, I've seen you somewhere. Anyway, we came in and tried to buy that property when it was falling apart and it didn't work. But anyway, we have always enjoyed the city and we wanted to be part of the city. That's why we chose to try to annex and use and work with the planning people in order to bring it into the city of Leesburg. Now, I'm not sure that we at this point would want to annex if we can't get the zoning. That doesn't make much sense. So then the big issue becomes, from our standpoint, is there an interlocal agreement to get water and sewer there? That was a big stumbling block.
Exactly.
So basically what you're saying is the people that own this property, their use is very limited. In the county, under the county zoning, we could build this. But it's not a whole lot of good for us if we can't get water and sewer to the site.
Exactly.
And that's an issue that you really ought to address, one way or the other. Whether this goes through or not, to not have a interlocal agreement with the county to service people in the area makes no sense to me. You're supposed to provide a service, and part of that service is water and sewer. And I'm afraid that if you lock us out, that's one thing. But are you really serving the community by doing that? And I'm posing that as a question, And I'm posing it as a overall question, not site-specific here, although it affects us. So it's something, again, we've spent an awful lot of time to do 6 houses. An awful lot of time. We've met with Candy and Dan. I'm not sure they even like to see us coming in the front door anymore. We're like, we can go in the back door now. We've been in there so many times. Having said that, I think that we've got a really good product. It is 3 bedrooms. The 3 bedrooms are 1,200 to 1,500 square feet. It's a product that we are very proud of, that we've taken a long time with the city to design this. And we would like to be in the city if we can work something out with you. And I'm glad to entertain any questions that any of y'all have.
You said something that stuck out in my mind, more important than you said it. You said you're not concerned about bicycles.
Say that once more,
You
please.
said you're not concerned about bicycles. And as a developer.
No, that's not what I said. I said that isn't the bigger picture for me. That's a minor
I get it,
issue.
but you got to realize that when you build this house and you leave, we live here. And we're going to be concerned about the bicycles. We're going to be concerned about the code enforcement calls. You built the house, you got your check, and you're gone. And so we're the citizens. We're going to be living with people who are going to be complaining about the condition and the optics of their neighborhood. So we are concerned about the bicycles. We are concerned about the cars. We are concerned about people that may have multiple cars, that you designed the house with one carport and they have multiple cars in the house. If you go down Magnolia Street right now, you'll see cars on both sides of the road. Personally, I got behind the garbage truck the other day. It took me about 10 minutes because the garbage collector had to get out, move garbage cans 3 at a time, get back in the truck, dump the garbage cans, push it back on the sidewalk, go up a little further because somebody said, I'm not concerned about multiple cars on Magnolia Street. Well, guess what? Those people who bought homes, live on Magnolia, now they're inundated with cars on both sides of the road, park on the sidewalk, because some developer said, I'm not concerned about that. I want to get it to a price point where people can afford. That is great. But also, the rest of the people who live in the city has to also deal with the fact that someone didn't design this product that people can have a place to park their cars, park their bicycles, and live in peace and harmony. That's my concern, because like you, I do affordable housing. I work with people who need subsidies. So you're not preaching to someone who don't understand that. And although Ken Thomas told you what we need, we do. In the city of Leesburg, we have multiple vacant lots throughout Carver Heights that we actually donate to nonprofit organizations to build affordable housing. So a half an acre may sound good. You spend a lot of time on that. It's great. But I prefer a product, especially 200 feet. I've invested personally. Myself, my church have invested millions of dollars on 468. Not 6 houses, but church facilities, houses that we've actually owned. So I'm very particular on what goes on Schoolview Drive. My son lives 2 lots beside your lots on half an acre of land. Maybe he can put 5 houses on his lot and sell it to someone. But that's not what I think the city of Leesburg needs to have on that lot. Yeah, we wanted the city of Leesburg to control it, but let's be honest, it was more so about getting water to your lot. That's why you're not developing in Lake County, because you need water. So that was a conversation we had 2 years ago. We didn't see these products that didn't have garages. I would have told you 2 years ago, it doesn't have the garage. You might as well not come to me, because we worked hard to make sure houses had garages to protect the integrity of neighborhoods that we serve. We don't, just because it's a low-income neighborhood, we're just going to give people whatever we think they need. We're going to give them what we know works for people that have children and have more people in their house. Let's not settle for less because we're trying to make a price point. Trust me, I'm building a house right now for affordable housing. So it can work if you provide the proper housing for people to live in. And I don't want people to buy a house that's going to pay $200,000 and still 5 years later be frustrated because they don't have enough space for their families. So I can't support it. Whether we annex it, that may be great, but I won't vote for this product.
And I'm sorry to hear that, Commissioner. But I do want to stress some other things. I'm not fixated on the biking situation. We do have 2 spaces per unit, one covered and one not covered in the driveway that's in between the houses. So we've got, if this were a multifamily, if I put these together and did a townhome type of community, with, what would your zoning be? I mean, 2 units per, excuse me, 2 spaces per unit is adequate for any kind of multifamily housing. You go anywhere in the state and do that, and that's the maximum. We built for under that. Now, all of these are 3 bedrooms, so.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt? Dan, do we have, what is the highest density that we have?
25 units an acre downtown in the central business district. Other, outside of the CBD is 18.
So what's
This
the,
property is 12.
so this property is 12 units an acre.
If it comes into the city under medium density.
But then you gotta meet all the setbacks and
But he
Is it
modified
realistic,
those.
is it realistic under our current zoning policies, at the highest density that could get, 12 units an acre, that they could actually get 6 units on 0.67 acres when you consider roads and all the other requirements?
Probably would not get 6, you might get 4 or 5.
So that being the answer, no. I think Commissioner Christian, now we haven't heard the preponderance of the evidence in the quasi-judicial hearing,
They would
but.
have garages in that.
But they would have to have garages, they have other things. So no, this subdivision as proposed, but for the PUD, wouldn't be able to be built. So, and the speaker brought out 3 points. Let me jump in here, and then this is a commission issue, and I don't want to muddy the waters. But there's 3 points that I just wanted to bring up, and I didn't get your name, sir.
Tim Burns.
Mr. Burns brought up 3 Mr. Burns's presentation made me think of 3 things that I think it's important for you to have as you're considering this matter. First, he invoked the staff conversations. I've been working with staff, the petitioner's been working with staff for 3 years. We got this information and remade this proposal based on staff. Duly noted. But at the end of the day, staff is working with their tools. Former Housing Director Ken Thomas was working with his tools, his desires, his experiences, what the city's been working to up to date, and he got that input. Dan's been working with his tools at the planning and zoning, would do PUDs. PUDs have come into question, and PUDs will be reviewed in our comprehensive plan update. And so we've had those internal discussions. So what I'm trying to say is, I think it is dangerous to fall into the trap when a petitioner comes and said, we talked to your staff and your staff said this. That's duly noted. At the end of the day, it's this body's prerogative on how you choose. You should not make a decision because staff said this within reason. Staff, I'm going to say, uses material issues, they use law, they use logic, they use experience, and sometimes there's equal reasons on the other side of the equation not to listen to staff. That's why when a petitioner says, we listen to staff, you got to do this, not necessarily. Point 1. Point 2, petitioners, Mr. Barnes said, I can do this in the county. It is, as Dan pointed out, and we don't know the answer again right off the bat on this, it's 12 units an acre as it's zoned right now, but then again, the petitioner's going to have to go through all the other hurdles, just like us. You get 12 units an acre in the city, we just pointed out. Dan says probably not going to be able to get more than 4 or 5 houses, because he's going to be working the same issues. He's going to have county setback issues, he's going to have county road issues, he's going to have all these other things that goes into a single-family house, where he's probably not going to be able to get 6 units on that. Hence, Dan used the PUD. Lastly, so whether or not he can do it or not in the county, I think becomes immaterial, because there's going to be some form of something he can do in the county. It's probably not going to be 6 units. I don't know exactly. Just like with us, if he didn't go the PUD route, he's going to be able to do something with us under the current zoning. Finally, though, you do hold the stick. And probably Grant may be better to advise, but the question is water and sewer. So at the end of the day, he's here before us, in my opinion, because he needs our water and sewer. And the county's position has been, they're not gonna issue building permits unless he's got note from us that says he can get water and sewer. And in this particular case, he's not gonna be able to serve that type of density on a septic system, and he's not gonna be able to get well water. So you do own the stick. So I almost said, you guys might want to consider tabling this until we hold the check and double check all the math. But at the end of the day, I think everybody probably agrees, we hold the stick, because if you would say no on a PUD issue, that's when you're gonna tell me, no, don't tap them and don't give that letter. So at the end of the day, tabling it or not, I think is immaterial. You own it by, I'm sure if the way the vote goes,
I
we
mean,
own the water, we own the spigot.
and I'm here, you know, in the city, we control what happens. We control what happens. I would like to see a better product. I would like to see these houses have garages where people can actually drive in. And there's a person built the house on East Street, small lot, but he built the garage. House goes upstairs, put it on a small lot. You know, different looking house, but he made it work. It's just unrealistic for me to think that 3-bedroom homes, I mean, like I said, it may start off good. You got a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, but they're going to be driving soon. They're going to be driving mom and dad. You got 4 cars each house. I mean, most teenagers, when they turn 16, they get a car. So now if you get 4 cars per house, you got 24 cars on this half-acre property. You got a car lot between each house and 6. So you got 12 spots, and you possibly have 24 cars once everybody gets to be 16 years old. You have nowhere to park. So now you're in the street, and I would encourage all the commissions, when you leave here, they ride down Magnolia Street. You got cars on both sides, on the city sidewalks. You cannot even drive through. So this is what happens when we just say, looks good on paper, but the reality is, this is what's gonna happen. It doesn't matter to me if you got a multifamily too, you go to the cross, they got multiple parking spaces all over, but in small developments, 2 parking spaces on a small lot. You're gonna be on Schoolview Road, you're probably gonna be on Woodbine where they're gonna park, becomes to me problematic. So, you know, if it had a garage, you know, that may be something that works, but to tell people to park beside your house and down the street, across the road, I just don't see that working well. That's just me. And I think people deserve a nice house. I think they deserve a garage. They deserve for the safety when it's raining, like it did Thursday. We was at a thing, but somebody said, I don't have a garage, so I'm gonna get wet regardless. So it'd be nice to tell people we're gonna give. I don't think it adds about $5,000-$6,000, maybe now $10,000 to your product, but I think people deserve a garage.
So I'll chime in. I always respect Commissioner Christian's comments. I guess I'm trying to be more open-minded because of the affordability factor. And I see communities, even their land development code going smaller and smaller. I think ours is 1,200, but it doesn't matter. People are building smaller homes. There is demand for smaller homes around the country in all demographics. So going forward on this, parking, I hear the concerns on parking. You said 2. My understanding is there's 3. You're doing the covered space, and another car can stack in behind it, and then there's a parking area. So there's 3. I saw a play, I think you called it a play area on the site plan. There was a green area. I mean, and I'm not being critical. I don't know how you got so much on 0.59 acres, but I saw the play area, and I'm asking, would it be possible to make that parking? And I'm trying to help you get this approved is where I'm going with
Yeah,
this.
the
So I'm
answer-
asking if that
of
could be
course,
parking.
yes.
And, you know, John's talking about garages. I understand that. I guess my opinion is more the market should dictate that. Maybe there's a compromise. I've seen garages with like a storage area in front, you know, where you pull in. Maybe it's a carport, but you pull in, there's the area, you know, enclosed area that's much smaller than a garage, but it can be a place to put the bicycles, those type things. I just throw that out for discussion. Lastly, and this was a question I had later on the zoning, but I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up now. So you're gonna lease, help me understand, you're gonna lease the site, they're gonna own the home, but they're leasing the site, is that understand? Like a pad-ready site.
Yes.
And in the analysis I saw, it says they qualify for homestead exemption. I was scratching my head on that, and I don't know if you or Dan can help me out on that one.
It is.
From the affordability standpoint, I just want to be assured they can qualify for homestead exemption to help keep their expenses down.
Yeah, it's not dissimilar to a mobile home kind of
Okay, that's a good
configuration.
analogy. Thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. I was scratching my head on that one. Thank you for making that easy. So I just throw that out there. Is there compromise, on it at all? I mean, I guess I feel like in our community, there probably is a place for, I understand what he's trying to do. You're trying to make it as affordable as you can. And is there a market for that? I could probably come around and get comfortable with it. And it has nothing to do with where it's at, John. I'd put small houses anywhere in the city, but if that's what the market wants. But those are my only comments. So I guess in summary, we need to vote on annexation if y'all are ready. He can always, depending on how it goes, he always has the option to ask us, come back and readdress that. Any comments from the public? If none, roll call.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Berry,
Yes.
Commissioner Christian,
No.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes. Would someone please introduce 6A2?
I'll introduce and ask to read by title only.
An ordinance amending the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, changing the future land use designation of certain property containing approximately 0.59 acres from Lake County urban medium density to City of Leesburg medium density residential for property generally located west of County Road 468 and north of Schoolview Street as legally described in Section 21, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Motion for, okay, well, you want, okay, I didn't know if I had to get a motion to approve before, or just we jump right into it.
If you want to do the motion, it doesn't matter
Okay,
how
then I'll
you
jump
want.
to you. So, motion for approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Second. Okay, now this is a quasi-judicial hearing. I'll turn it over to Grant for instructions.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If anybody is present, city staff or in the audience who plans to provide any testimony or evidence on items number 6A2 or 6A3, if you would please stand and raise your right hand so you can be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm that all testimony you'll give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. And I spoke with Dan. I don't believe you had any presentation.
So, yeah,
Yeah, let me just ask,
sure.
Mr. Burns, do you have any more comments on 6A2?
What,
He may have some.
After you speak.
After our discussion.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Dan, you don't have any comments? Okay. So now the process is I'm supposed to go to the petitioner.
Okay.
Okay, bear with me. This is all new to me too, so bear with me. Which you're the petitioner, so I'm giving you a chance to speak again if you'd like. And this process is new to all of us. I think it's my second meeting with this process, so bear with me.
I got you. I think if I can make an overall comment, and that is, my overall sense is that from our standpoint, that it'd be better for us to table this right now. If we don't come up with something that's suitable, after going back and giving real consideration to your comments, then we'll withdraw. But I think we're not gonna, it would seem to me that we need to go back to the drawing board from our standpoint and see if there's some way to facilitate this that would make everybody happy. And, so I'm not sure that.
And I can't advise you on that because I can't speak to the commissioners, so I have no idea where they stand on this.
I would say that once it's been annexed, we need to put land use on it.
You have 180 days to put the land use on it.
So my question, it gets back to the question of annexation. And that is, if we're not gonna get something that's suitable, we don't wanna be within the city.
Well, Mr. Burns, is it possible for you to add a garage to the current structure that you have on site? Even if you made the play area smaller, is it possible for you to add a garage to the houses?
I can't answer that right now because I haven't looked at it from that vantage point.
Okay.
I mean, it would, certainly there's room in between the houses as they sit to put a structure. If you can park a car, you can put a structure there. Now, will that be, would it, under planning and zoning, be, attached? Could you go with 4 units on one side and 2 on the other, with everything being attached? I don't know that we can accommodate all of the things that we need to do, to go through. So I'm not in a position to answer that right now.
Can I ask, so Dan, the playground area, was that a requirement of the PUD, or is that something that we just added?
That's something that we added.
Okay.
So we thought that was something as an amenity for, in a small site, to have a place for children to go play would be something that would be very attractive and appealing. Sorry.
Commissioner, I believe the playground area was required in the PUD, SPUD, small PUD. If I may, we can take it back, rework it, see what we can come up with, and bring it back if you like. It's not a problem. But I understand your concerns and appreciate them, and we will be happy to work with the applicant to come up with something that meets your concerns and see if that will work.
I'm on Magnolia right now getting complaints like crazy.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it's unrealistic for me to sit here and pretend like you're gonna have 2 cars per house, or even 3 cars per house.
Okay.
You telling me I wouldn't wanna park my car down the street on Schoolview right now and say I'm gonna go in my house, leave my car down where I can't see it or access it. Alarm goes off. I don't know if it's my car or the neighbor's car. So personally, and I just think sometimes I think when we come and we talking about affordability and the people who are gonna buy these houses, I'm even looking at the educational component, because most affordable builders, they have a home buy-in seminar where they educate the homeowner, because they're less likely to have the experience of a home buyer who's going on the FHA market with the 3 or 5% down. So now you complicate when you even said they're gonna be like a mobile home, so I'm gonna buy the house but I don't own the land. So now you're saying to a unexperienced home buyer with limited education on the process, you go sign this mortgage and you're gonna compare it to your friend down the street, and you don't actually own the land. So to me, that complicates things even more for me, to say turn the developer loose and then you get Leesburg residents and put them in a product that they may not understand without any home buyer education. Habitat does education, homes and partnership, and that's the purpose, to make sure people who buy these products are well educated on what they're actually buying, and not 2 years down the road or 5 and they want to sell it, realize we got a problem. So that's another concern that I'm looking, because I live here. And the people that probably buy your house are gonna probably either know me or call me, and I'm not gonna be able to reach Mr. Burns wherever you're living. And so I don't wanna be that commissioner who is just saying, oh yeah, let's do this, and then we're stuck with residents who are frustrated because we didn't do our due diligence. And I don't know if Ken talked to you about home buyers programs, educating the buyers, and he's not here, so now we vote on a product that we don't even know if the end user, our residents, are gonna be prepared to understand what they're buying. And those are just my concerns, because I do this, and I know people have these concerns when they get a bad mortgage, something that they don't really understand. And I've signed many mortgages and nobody reads all 300 pages of it. And I can just imagine these homeowners not doing that. So I'm just a little concerned about the whole process.
So I've got a question for you, Dan.
Yes, sir.
So what's before us right now is the change in the comp plan.
Comp plan only.
And we're talking about going to Leesburg medium density.
Which does allow
Okay, so
12.
in Leesburg medium density, for a single family unit, what is how many can you put on an acre?
12 under the medium density.
I don't see
But
12 houses on an
remember
acre.
that you have that answer. Did Dan answer that earlier? 12 units an acre, plus the roads, plus drainage, plus this stuff, plus the setbacks on .69, you're only gonna squeeze 4 out of that.
Yeah.
So you're not, remember, it's the net, not the gross. So even though it's 12, we're only working with .69. So your answer is
Oh,
yes, But the question that you wanted to ask is, how many do you think you'll get on there? The answer is probably 4.
We probably should have a better title for medium density residential.
It's just that,
I understand you're
so if you put
perplexed
a
by that.
medium, if you put a medium density on this and you don't do a PUD with it, he's getting 4, which is pretty much what he's gonna get out of the county too. Because our medium and their medium is gonna be pretty similar.
So I guess I turn to you and ask you, you want to keep asking commissioners
Yeah,
questions
I've
because
got
you may get some indication from commissioners. Go ahead.
So, the garages, I agree with Commissioner Christian, would like to see that. For me, I don't care about the playground. I said that at the first reading, that maybe we could turn that into more parking. I'm also okay, for me, it needs to be an enclosed garage, but it doesn't have to be attached to the house. Because I think whether it's attached to the house, people can store stuff in it either way. So if it's easier to, from your phasing, I'm okay with that. A big concern I have, though, is who's responsible for the common areas of this property?
That would be the association,
And the association is the homeowners or the landowner?
the homeowners, which it would be a property owners association.
But not the person who owns the land, the people that own the buildings, because we have this split structure where they don't own the land, the people that own the houses. Correct?
So I'm not sure.
So you have this split
There is an
structure.
association, just like any condo would have.
Right, but you have this split structure where
In a
you
condominium,
maintain
let's
the-
use a townhome.
Mhm.
When you buy into a townhome community, in certain respects, you own the vertical structure.
Okay.
You don't own the infrastructure nor the land. And the overall association is set up to facilitate that.
Yeah, and that's a bit of concern that I have, is that just having some experiences in small developments like this, owning units, is you get 1 or 2 people who quit paying their HOA dues, or they don't build it, and they rarely build up enough reserves, and the road gets torn up, and the city gets involved, which we've had recently, is, who's responsible, and then of course they want the city to come and do it. So I'm sure that it could be overcome, but I just have some concerns over how the association is going to be set up and make sure that there's enough money to pay for the actual maintenance of this. And that's where it gets back to, if it were a big townhome, if you had 100 townhomes and an HOA and an organization running it, well, I'd feel differently about that development and parking and maintenance and who's going to maintain it, because you have a large entity to do that. My experience has been with smaller scale developments is that doesn't always happen, especially because you have 2 out of your 6 people quit paying, and the thing's basically bankrupt. But those are just some the concerns that I have, but I think they could be overcome.
I'd like to get back to City Manager Minner's comment, and that is, I can sit here and tell you that I can't answer all the questions, nor can Commissioner or City Manager Minner say that we can only get 4 units on there. I want you to be open-minded. If we come back, if we table this and we come back, it'll be with the blessings of your staff, and I know, again, Mr. Minner, your comment about the staff, we've been working very hard with them to go through your regulations. And having been censored today, I would say that I'm not going to come back unprepared to answer all of the questions that you brought up today. So I would ask, if we're going to table this and allow us to go back and make some modifications, keep an open mind when we come back, if you would, please. Thank you.
Mr. Burke, before you sit down, just one thing, kind of what Commissioner Roebuck said, and kind of what I kind of alluded to. Remember, if you got 6 families, you're asking them to pay for the grass to be cut, you're paying for the playground area. If the swing breaks, you're gonna pay for that, because if not, somebody's gonna get sued. And then your end user are people who are low to moderate income that can afford these houses. So now you're saying to me, put $200 a month towards HOA to take care of the lawn maintenance, to take care of the shrubberies and the 2 trees that Commissioner Bird says you got to put in the front yard. So these are the type things that it sounds good on paper, but realistically, will that end user be able to afford enough money towards HOA to be effective in maintaining the grass area, the retention ponds, the potholes that Florida, weather puts in the middle of the road, and they complained and they called the city. So it sounds good, but realistically, will these 6 homeowners put enough money into that HOA, and can they work together to make sure that whoever gets the president doesn't irritate everybody to the point they want to, go to blows? So, I think those are type things that I would really like to see and hear more thought out of, is how does that really work? And even the lease part from the landowner, and if you've done this before, kind of bring us some examples on where it worked before.
Fair enough,
So I think that'll help me a lot.
fair enough.
Well, it sounds to me like everything could be negotiated or overcome, except Commissioner Roebuck's comments on everybody's comments on the POA, the Property Owners Association. I don't know if the commission has any comments on that, because I want to be fair to you for spending more time, on this, time and money.
So
If we
with the-
can't make it work, we'll be the first ones to say we can't make it
Okay.
work.
So
I'm just
with
trying
the
to get you some
approval-
feedback from the commission.
Thank you.
Yeah, but with the approval of annexation, if we do table item 2, and therefore item 3, does that,
So I
they
guess,
have to bring it back to us within 6 months for either up or down, and then? or-
Yes,
or how
yes.
because we've already done that.
That's right.
So we would leave it,
And
In the
just to
city.
be clear from my vantage point,
Yes, sir.
with the annexation, if I cannot do something that's suitable to you all, I don't want to be annexed.
Yeah, and that's, again, that decision was already voted on at this point.
And I was clear about that when it was brought up.
Right, and there was, in the past, there's been a scenario where annexation was voted on in the city, a request to de-annex or sort of withdraw that request for annexation was made at the same commission meeting and accepted by the commission. So the time to make that decision, basically to de-annex, I guess, and consistent with what's been done before, would be tonight.
Then I vote not to annex.
Okay, so,
And we will come back and if we can make it work, we'll make it work.
okay.
I think that your question's going to be, and I'm going to shoot from the hip a little bit, whether you're in the city or the county, your 12 units an acre, single-family resident, 12 units an acre is going to yield you 4 units.
Right.
So if you're good with that, we should table it.
Right.
If you're, and you go check with your folks,
So-
and then I think then you come down and you're going to get back into, instead of doing a PUD, you're going to come back and you're going to do R2, and then he has to live up to the standards that Commissioner Christian spoke about, which is the specific codes, garages, size houses, setback, and he has to meet all that. And he's going to end up around 4 units. If you didn't do anything tonight, it would have stayed county zoning, and he's going to be about 4 units. So at the end of the day, it does behoove him to stay in, because you're at 4 units, is I think where this body's going. You say, take me out of the city, these guys will say, fine. Well, if they're nice to you, they're gonna say, fine, they'll de-annex you tonight. You go back off and develop in the county, you're gonna be at 4 units, and then you're gonna be coming back to us saying, we want water and sewer. These guys probably aren't gonna give you the water and sewer unless it's built within their standards. So you have your answer, I think. It's 4
No,
units.
I don't have my answer because,
You do have your answer. It's
no,
4
no, no,
units.
no. Please let me finish. I have a partner on this who is not here, so I do not have my answer.
That's your dilemma. Not, your answer is 4 units.
Now,
Your
if I-
question back to us is, does your partner agree with 4 units, which puts this body in the predicament of keep you annexed or
I
unannexed you
don't think
tonight.
we've made a decision one way or another on how many units, based, given some criteria about what we would need, regardless of the number of units.
And I think if you stay with the PUD, I think you stay with the PUD, you stay in the annex, go work with your architect, your partner, work with our staff, come back with 6 houses with garages, limited play area, questions on the POA. I think you probably answer most of the questions here at the council. So, and I think the city manager's kind of alluding to that. Your best bet, your best number of housing to get is stay in the city, come back with the PUD with the adjustments of the garage, answer the POA, and I think you'll be fine. From my standpoint, I want to see a garage. I want to see that the houses are built to a structure where people can actually afford them, live in them, and 10 years from now they're going to still be happy with their house. So for me, I would like to see those garages on the houses. Play area doesn't mean much to me because kids going to play, and I don't think that's going to give a lot of play area. And I think even with HO, I think it gives more problems with people trying to maintain a playground. If I'm paying for it, I wouldn't. Once my kids get to be 12, I'm not going to use the playground, but I'm paying for it. So that's what I would suggest. If I were in your shoes, I would go back, redesign my housing. Don't spend 3 years doing it and just get an architect. Hey, look at my house, put a garage on it, whether it's detached or attached. Work with our staff, come back. And for me, you have my support at that point.
Okay, so to be fair to the petitioner, I guess you kind of answered my guess. I guess you did answer my question. What I don't want to do is for us to say you can go make all these changes, but then we have a problem with the POA. So I guess I'm asking the commission. I've heard some good, valid concerns on that. I mean, a POA with 6 owners. I'm just kind of looking at the commission. I just want you to come back and do everything we've asked, but then we shoot it down over our concerns.
I'm
over
okay
POA.
with that. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
If I come back and you shoot me down after I've answered what I perceive to be all your questions, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I just don't want to get myself in a corner tonight,
Okay.
which
No, I
is,
respect
I
that. I'm
don't
trying
want to
I'm trying help
annex
you. I
it
hope you
without
understand.
knowing one way or the other,
Yeah.
whether, and I can't sit here, I'm the builder. I'm not the
Yeah,
architect.
I'm trying to help you and also try to get you as much feedback as possible from the
And
commission.
thank you,
Yeah.
it's really
And I
helpful.
appreciate the commissioner's comments.
Thank God that I've got a good memory, because there's a lot of things.
And I missed the
It's
prior
on
meeting.
TV.
That
We did your recording.
Dan's right now. Trust me, Dan's right now.
That's fellow lefty,
So the only downside, and maybe I'm missing something, of you coming into the city is you would owe maybe another $40 a year in property taxes on the piece of parcel. Is there another downside to not coming?
Water
into
and
the city?
sewer.
Well, you would have access to water and sewer the second you're in the city.
I'm not sure when I come back and with a redesign, I want to build that redesign given the scenarios that you've brought up tonight. If I can solve all those things, given what you guys have brought up, and you shoot me down, fine. But I want to make sure it's under my interpretation of what you've said tonight,
Okay. And hearing the.
and give it a good
Yeah,
shot.
and hearing the commission's concerns, I could support the play area gone in the entirety and just making more parking out to show respect to Commissioner Christian's comments.
I mean, but if he doesn't want to be in the city unless we approve it, I don't want to force anyone to be in the city. I mean, as much as I like the property.
My preference would be to be in the city.
I think what Commissioner Robert was
And you can
saying,
always do
even,
other things with the property. There's
even
value
if
in
it was
the city.
vacant right now, county or city, you're only gonna pay $40 more in the city. So if nothing happened for the next 5 years, you're only paying $40 in the city limits as opposed to the county. Did you do your
If
math
I'm
right,
making a
Commissioner Robert?
decision on a development over $40, I'm in the wrong business.
So you're okay, in summary, you're okay with the approval on the annexation, or?
I am
You can do
not.
it, okay, you're not, okay,
I am not.
okay.
Okay.
So we're gonna vote to,
I want to make like tonight never happened other than,
That's fine. That's
so we
fine.
need to
other
vote to
than I went
de-annex?
to get schooled for 2 hours.
Vote to de-annex?
Yeah, I think probably the appropriate procedure would be perhaps a motion accepting sort of the request to withdraw the annexation request and undo what was done. If the commission would like, perhaps you could table everything to a date certain if we think that that would be appropriate at this time, or just table everything
Just table, I'm
generally.
looking at staff. I mean, I don't think we need to set a date yet.
We have a motion on the floor right now for item 2, right? So we gotta do something about it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there was a motion made for
Yeah,
item two.
so
Yes, sir,
we've
that's
gotta
right.
do something
Yes.
about
That's right.
either
But he's, okay. Okay,
withdrawing
thank
and
you, thank you.
tabling
No, thank you.
If we,
item 2.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, if we table to a date certain, we don't have to re-advertise.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
So should we make a
Well, you
motion
could
to
withdraw
table?
you could also withdraw the motion that was made if you'd like to do
that's
that.
what we need to
So, on this item, if, I'd like to make a motion that we table the item for the comp plan change.
do. And the zoning, or the PUD, the zoning.
Well, we're not even 2-3, so we're just talking about 2. So just the comp plan change. And let that motion stand to be voted on, and then we can make another motion to reverse item 1 if the applicant wants out of the city, which is what he's saying. Does that make the most sense?
And, yeah, and just to recap, so you could, you know, if it's the commission's pleasure, you could table 2, you could table 3, and then revisit 1.
And we need to table them to a date certain
Yeah,
to
date
avoid.
certain.
If you want to
$1,000
avoid the,
advertising,
right,
which would
that's
be
right.
crazy on this project.
So that date certain would be, Dan, do you have an idea what we would need to make that?
Give us a
Probably
month.
There would need to be enough time for Mr. Burns to work with his partner. We would just need a little bit of time on staff side. It's not going to take us much. So 30 days, 45 days, because we have to have a couple of weeks lead time to get on the commission.
That would be the 27th.
We meet on the second and fourth Monday of every month.
June 27th.
Better July.
Okay, we'd like to
It
table
won't
it
be,
till
that's a good one.
We have to
till
wait.
June 27th?
Yeah, we're gonna be
June
after.
27th.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
We can do that. It'd be very quick.
Fortunate you.
Okay,
So, to table it till June 27th,
Second.
okay.
and that would be item 2 and upcoming item 3. We can go ahead and do that without
That
introducing item
one-
3.
Yeah, we could go ahead. We should read and then table.
Correct, so let's just,
So,
Is that
by
second
tabling,
that?
actually by tabling 2, 3 doesn't really exist, right? Because we didn't change the.
There's
the
nothing to
comp.
zone it to.
So
Yeah, and
So
in a
3 goes
sense,
away.
that's true.
It drops
But you
down.
wanted to open it and read it and table it.
I think that would be the best procedure.
Okay,
Okay, so I have a motion and a second on
so
6.
table item
Yeah,
2,
he said
and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Berry,
Yes,
Commissioner Christian.
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck.
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes. So now I need a motion to table.
Just need to-
No, you gotta, you gotta read,
Introduce 6A.
read.
Oh, okay,
read
sorry.
it, Read it.
Okay, somebody please introduce 6A3.
I'll introduce to be read by title only, please.
An ordinance of the city of Leesburg, Florida, rezoning approximately 0.59 plus minus acres from Lake County RP Residential Professional to City of Leesburg Spud Small Plan Unit Development to allow for residential development for property generally located west of County Road 468 and north of Schoolview Street as legally described in Section 21, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second. Make a motion to table to June 27th.
Second.
Second. Any comments from the commission? Comments from the public? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes. Yes. Back to 6A1.
So I'll make a motion to reconsider a vote on 6A1.
Second.
Okay. Comments from the commission? Comments from the public? Okay, roll call.
So we need a motion to,
Oh, I thought,
we're reconsidering, do we?
well, I thought the.
That was the
Mr.
motion.
Roebuck.
Yeah,
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 yeah, second.
And then you seconded,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay.
So roll call.
Roll call.
Commissioner Roebuck?
No. Well, hold on, no, I'm reconsidering, so yes. I do want to reconsider my
I'm
vote.
glad I'm not the only
And then we
one
have to
confused.
vote to, right, we reconsider it and then we
That's
actually do
right.
it. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
So
okay.
yes, I do want to reconsider.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Poker player.
Yes.
He showed his hand.
So,
It's another motion.
help me out. What do we need a motion about? We're tabled.
To get a motion to reconsider.
Motion to reconsider.
We had a motion to reconsider, I think a motion to,
Take it another
to
way.
withdraw the annexation or to void the annexation would be appropriate.
Okay, I guess that's what I thought we just did by
I thought so
tabling
too.
it, but I'm just,
The annexation.
the annexation.
So I'll make a motion to withdraw the annexation.
Second. Is that adequate?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
that's adequate.
Okay, comments from the commission? Comments from the public? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes. Phew, thank you, everybody.
Okay.
We definitely did something.
Yeah.
And before that closes, would that be, would the commission also like to table this particular item until June 27th as well, consistent with the others?
Yes.
Yes.
Make a motion to table it till June 27th.
Second.
Comments from the commission? Comments from the public? Roll call.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes. Okay, moving on, first reading of ordinances, we have none. Non-routine items?
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, just as a point of clarification, just so, not just the general public, but the city manager understands what we just did. We just basically reset up annexation, land use, and the PUD for the 27th.
That's correct.
Oops.
Okay.
I'm glad I'm not the only one confused.
It's
We got it.
a lot of voting and
We got
motions
it.
to get
I
there.
got
but that-
lost at the
in a nutshell, that's
reconsider
what we
vote.
did.
Dan,
Okay.
Dan.
Thank you,
Okay.
Grant, thank you. Okay, so non-routine items, there are none. Moving on to informational reports. We have the financial reports as of March 2022. Any comments from the commission? I had one question, just trying to learn something here. On the accounts receivable, there was these receivables to planning and zoning from Muktara and a VPG. It said, it referenced MPO. I just didn't understand how we had a receivable from, it said traffic study. I just didn't understand how we had a receivable on a traffic study.
Traffic studies are required in the development process. A traffic study is required to be done by the developer, both the procedures and the study itself. That is shipped to MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization. They have 3 groups on contract which review these. Those
Okay.
are the bills for that which go back to.
They come to you, then you bill.
Come back to us, and it's all kept at arm's length, so the developer doesn't know who, other than MPO and one of 3 consultants, they don't know who's looking at their traffic studies and who's reviewing it. So it's,
Okay.
there's a
And-
billing process in there.
No,
We've
thank
got
you,
a
Dan.
couple people that still owe.
Okay, the basis of my
We're
question
working
was, I'm
on
looking at accounts receivable report, and I see developers in our city owing us
Right.
money. I was just trying to understand how that happened. Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, on that note, which I was supposed to bring up, and I'm not sure if this is the type of traffic study. So the MPO used to want us to run all of our traffic studies through them, because the way grants used to work is us running traffic studies through them counted as like an in-kind contribution and allowed for matching federal funds. That is no longer the case. We're one of like 3 cities that still does it, and it's just kind of a pain for the MPO because they're just basically just passing paperwork around, and they don't charge it. But we need to stop doing that, and so maybe staff can get with them and figure out. We can use their contract still. We just need to have our purchasing department just.
And that
do
would
it
eliminate
correct.
receivables going forward?
Yeah, I think so, and it would make we just kind of
The
stop.
old ones that,
Yeah.
we got the new procedures
Okay.
down, so they're hanging
Yeah.
around. and they-
Yeah, I wasn't being critical. I was just trying to understand. Yeah, I see 2 developers we work with. I'm like, they owe us money? Okay.
And I don't think the MPO's actually asked. I brought it up at the last meeting, like, why are these cities using the traffic studies? And I didn't even know Leesburg was one of them. But,
You do it.
Okay, any other comments, commissioners? If not, city attorney items,
No items this evening, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Okay, city manager items.
Hey, just a quick note of the fiscal year '23 budget process. Staff is kind of in the middle of it all. Departments had submitted all their requests. Brandy and I and the team have been reviewing the budget requests, kind of for May 23rd, about where we normally are, a little bit under, a little bit over budget in the general fund. Some of the other funds looking good. Electric is a little bit over, kind of standard operating procedures for this time. Everybody's on bated breath until June 1, when the tax numbers come out. So if you all in particular have any questions about the budget or want us to pay particular items to whatever, give me a shout and we'll try to weave it in there. And then I think we hit the budget workshops again in July, right? July, what's the first one?
That's 7 and 12.
July 5, 7, and 12. So put those days in red, and Dan, you can't run off anywhere. No July vacation.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Berry,
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes, got this letter from Miss Sandra Oberholzer, and I was at a senior brunch. The same question came up, Al, so I guess it's very important for our seniors in our community. They want the aquatic center to be open. It says, a lifelong resident of Leesburg, I'm excited to hear about the new center. Waited for it to open. She lives 3/4 of a mile from the pool. Leesburg has many older citizens who would benefit from water walking, lap swimming, Travis, and water therapeutic exercises year-round, especially since the pool is heated. The pool needs to be open throughout the year and provide options for adults to utilize the pool throughout the day. Early mornings, saying they got some people to join you. Early morning lap swim, water walk is not the best option for older citizens as they need time to get moving and to the center. The Wellness Center permanently closed in 2020, and their pool was used by many citizens who have been waiting for the new aquatic center. A couple other paragraphs. So I was at a senior brunch, and a lady asked me at the senior brunch why the older people can't use the pool, and we need to open up during the daytime. So I guess if I was in church, I said this is confirmation. So Travis, you and Al get together with Brian and Chuck, and y'all do something for our senior citizens of our community so the pool can be open for them. That's all I have.
Duly noted.
Starting, going forward, the pool's open.
Memorial Day.
Is it just weekends now, or is it every day?
Every day, Memorial Day, every day.
Yeah,
Pool starts.
give us
Right here.
give us the normal schedule
We're
for
gonna
right
help
now,
her out
Travis.
right now.
Daytime. She want daytime. She won't be out there with young kids. She won't be with the older. There you go,
Travis
Travis.
gonna
Talk
talk
to
to
us,
us.
Travis.
Good evening. So starting this upcoming Saturday, it is open every day through the summer. We do have, in the off season, we do have 6 times per week that it's open for lap swim. So walking and exercising could be, it's 3 in the morning. It's 6:30 to 8:30 is when you're going, Sandy? 6:30 to 8:30, and then 11:30 to 1, 3 days a week. So there are six times throughout the week that they could go. And then Joni has it up on her phone here. We do have water fitness class that's starting this Wednesday. So Brittany Haller, our staff member, is doing it. So
Can you let her know? Al,
yeah. So we do have those options, and yes, we are open starting this week every day, 7 days a week.
She's in Palmer Park. You can use the boat base anytime you want.
Got alligators in the boat basin.
let's see. Oh, Mayor.
So
Sorry.
I didn't have anything, but I'll just piggyback off of John's comments. I did receive the same letter, and I did call her today, had a good conversation with her, and I spoke with Al about it. Al kind of told me, let's deal with it in budget process here, but I would like to see the pool open. We spent $5.5 million. I'd like to see the pool open year-round or close to it, and more available to our citizens. So.
Gotta find some lifeguards.
And that's the
the
issue.
heating bills
And
are
that-
all
yeah,
about
and that's the
lifeguards.
issue. That's why Al told me, let's talk about it in budget, which will be in 2 months. See if everybody's okay with that.
That's fine.
But I had a good conversation with the ladies.
Yeah, Travis, we received that letter. It's older, I think.
April 11th.
Yeah, and
Snail mail.
I have had a conversation with Travis about it. Some of the stuff in the letter is not 100% accurate, but the desire is, there's the desire to see the pool open as the commission expressed here. I think the answer is going to be to do that is full-time staff is what you're going to need. You need to hire the full-time lifeguard that's the professional lifeguard that's year-round. Because the issue is, The issue is the certified lifeguards, and, I know everybody likes to say, well, there's retired people that are certified lifeguards. Well, if there are, show them to me, we'll hire them today and do this. So it's a more difficult hiring with part-time lifeguard staff is a challenge for everyone. And to bridge the gap, you really need to look at full-time professional lifeguard staff. So probably 1 or 2 extra people need to go in the budget.
Nothing but money.
Nothing but money.
No,
June 1 holds the answers.
I thought you were a lifeguard.
I told Al today in our conversation, I lifeguarded at Venetian Gardens in.
You're hired.
Oh, I'm not gonna tell you the
You're
date.
hired.
I'm not gonna tell you. I almost slipped. I'm not gonna tell you the date. I'm not gonna tell you
I
the
think
date.
both of our Red Cross certificates have expired
Yeah.
long ago.
Get your reinstated, buddy.
Yeah, so, okay, no, the pool's a great asset, and I think, it sounds like the commission may be on the same page. Looks like we're gonna spend a little bit more money. Any other comments? If none, motion to adjourn.
Jimmy.